night of total terror.
I know a lot of people that watch short films. I know a lot of people that don't give a shit about films, don't give a shit about short films, wouldn't care less. But to the people that do, those are the people I want to share these experiences with. And I think anybody that's ever been on a journey of creation would appreciate this documentary, because this is something that's been in the brewing for like 6-7 years almost.
The first film me and Ricky worked on was Afro Death. That was back in 2012.
That would be Blood Lager. There was a bit of thought went into that though, because we had weapons that were homemade. I made them at work actually. We poured the fake blood on them. And
the first film I worked on with Ricky was a music video he shot actually of me. It's a blues song called The Apartment of Evil Women.
I was finishing the 8th grade. He had a camera and he's like, let's make a movie.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
First film I made was a movie called Afro Death back in 2012. Me and my brother, we were high off the aroma of Grindhouse by Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. And not so much by the movies, not that they weren't good or anything like that, but the fake trailers that were in between the films. So you got like Hobo with a Shotgun, which actually got made into a feature. There was one called Thanksgiving by Eli Roth. Rob Zombie did one. I was fascinated by the idea of making a trailer and maybe having that turn into a feature.
Well, Ricky didn't actually ask me to be in a film. I encouraged him to put me in a film.
I didn't think anybody would act in any of these films for me, because everybody I hang out with is just like, you know, they're just average Joes basically. So for me to go up to them and say, hey, do you mind being in a film real fast? Like, you might be getting killed in a church. You might be getting killed in the woods. You might shoot yourself in the bathtub. You might get a knife through the hand. You might get thrown into a locker. You never know.
well, initially I thought, how the hell am I going to do this? I'm not an actor. But then
I didn't know if we were gonna make it, and then boom, that'd be it. Maybe show like the family and whatnot. And yeah, I was kind of a little odd of like, you know, never been on the camera before.
as you go on in life doing this stuff, a little bit more, you learn a bit more. You learn a bit more about special effects and everything, blah, 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 you know?
Afro Death to me is a mysterious character that seems to have his own inner intent.
Afro Death is a character that was spawned from me sitting up all night watching these shitty movies from the 80s, from the 70s. I was watching the fucking Black Godfather. I was watching Pieces.
Motherfucker, I'm Afro Death.
Me and my brother, we'd watched Grindhouse. I got this germ in my head to make a film, to make a fake trailer in order to make a film in the future. He's a samurai sword sporting, reefer smoking, psychotic son of a bitch, and he's done nothing but murder people since his inception.
One mean little fucker with a sharp blade.
The Purple Demon, I can't really say I really know too much about that character or entity yet.
I played the Purple Demon in The Locker and Midnight Marauder.
Be interesting to see his backstory. Or not that he needs to have a backstory, he could just be like a kind of like an Aphrodite type character, maybe a little more severe than Aphrodite, like in his purpose.
Purple Demon is a weird one because the Purple Demon is more than just like this, Jason Voorhees character, which Aphrodite is like the Jason Voorhees franchise kind of guy. Whereas the Purple Demon is the Pazuzu from Exorcist kind of character. Go ahead.
From being an actor, I actually learned a lot. I learned so much of like lenses on a camera, how they work, how they function. Learn about the camera itself, like from having it in autofocus to doing it manually, lighting up a scene, lighting up a room.
I would say that I have learned quite a bit about filmmaking watching Ricky work. I happen to know quite a bit more than the average, not that I'm a filmmaker myself, but I happen to know a little bit more than the average person because I've read a lot of books on independent filmmaking especially, so I knew a little bit, but to actually see it at work is a totally different thing.
I know that doing films with Rick, take after take after take, but if you want to be proud of what you're doing, you're going to do as many takes as it takes. Filming out of order is fine with me because I don't know what the fuck's going on half the time anyway with his schedule.
Okay, now Nick, now look back,
Scream?
Yeah.
Ah! 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 Ah!
Right?
Okay, now hold on a second.
That's fucking nightmare shit right there.
Hey, Father, come inside, cause now...
I got freeze in my ass.
Yeah, hurry up, come, don't rip the shit off your face, though.
It was cold. Had all this makeup on. I'm trying not to fuck the makeup up because Kayla would have kicked my ass. I'm outside the window, freezing, because it's fucking snowing now. I'm out there. I got no bare arms, snow coming down. And he wants me to crawl in the back bedroom window. I'm like, well, for fuck's sakes. And I got like this little ladder there, so I'm start crawling in, and I'm like freezing. But trying to cope with the freezing temperature, I had a few drinks. Action. Drop, you're supposed to say fucking action.
Careful when you come out, because your face, like, come out on an angle, yeah.
Well, it's not easy being me. Well, I was a little bit, the director said I was a little bit unruly, so.
Seeing his films on the screen at the Shock Stock Festival was great because it was like he's on his way.
They went from the basement to Tokyo, went to Shock Stock here in London, and it was mind blowing to see other people's stuff, and then boom, to see his stuff playing, and like to see yourself and stuff. It was like, it's crazy. It's like, wow, like people are actually here watching this, like, you know, they're seeing theirs, but also seeing other people's that like are making just as dope freaking films. It was amazing actually.
Not that I didn't think that the thing in Japan wasn't amazing, because it fucking blew my socks off. I thought it was, I felt like on top of the world. I felt like, holy shit, I just went international. Like that's how I felt in my head, right? But Shock Stock was like the reason I went to film school, and that might be like a weird reason to go, just to get into like this little local thing. But I thought, this is my horror convention here in London, and I want to like be a part of it in some degree. And getting two things in, and then my friend Dave getting his movie in that I helped him out on, was like, it was awesome, because I got to see 3 films that I poured heart and soul into play at like in London in front of horror fans. You know, it was great, man. It was such a cool feeling, because when you're at a screening surrounded by like fans and fellow filmmakers of your genre, it's quite the experience, because seeing that shit on the big screen, seeing that fucking knife fly into my dad's hand, and hearing complete strangers saying that, like, holy shit, like, that's crazy. It's a weird feeling. It's a good feeling, you know, and I want to recapture that if I can. So Shock Stock was definitely fucking hands down one of the best moments of my life in terms of being a filmmaker.
What was my favorite death scene? I kind of like getting killed in that one where I took the knife in the hand and the bullet in the fucking head.
The one with the knife really stands out though. I think anybody that sees that would really stand out.
I throw the knife at Ullman's hand, shoot my cousin right in the head, and then go back to the Ullman, shoot him in the head, and then just, you know, walk out of there.
He's been watching films his whole life, ever since he was a little guy.
I've always made films for myself and for my brother. I've always wanted to make stuff for us to go, holy shit, we'd sit there and watch fucking Sleepaway Camp, and you'd see that crazy shot at the end, and you'd be like, whoa. You'd watch Freddy Krueger, and you'd see Johnny Depp come through the bed. You watch Halloween, you see him standing outside of the classroom. You watch Enter the Dragon, and you see fucking Bruce Lee with the cuts on his chest. I wanted to make something like that. I wanted to leave an impact in someone's mind and be like, that's fucking crazy. But at the end of the day, I want to make something that I want to watch.
He's a big comic book fan too, and you know, most people know that are into comics know that there are similarities between comics and films. I think the only difference is the comic book creator has much more control. Watching his films, I can kind of see him applying a comic book creator mentality to his films.
I think Ricky loves film because I introduced him to it at a very young age.
Like, usually a kid would be watching all happy, cheerful movies. Fucking, he was watching like slasher films and fucking all kinds of bizarre shit. I fucking love Lethal Weapon. That'll forever be in mine and his hearts is Lethal Weapon. Not just Lethal Weapon, the series itself will, like, you know, like the movie series will forever be in us. And I think that's, you know, it's a dope thing to have because it really, like, it helped him create memories and, like, you know, realize how dope movies are. And he's got a wide collection of them, from DVD to like VHS, it's even beta. The worst thing he made me do on set would be killing my cousin in a church. You know, it's not something you do every day.
The worst thing he ever asked me to do is lay on the floor covered in blood and squirm like a Regulan bloodworm from Star Trek.
The worst thing that Ricky ever asked me to do on set was he didn't really ask me to do anything. He turned the camera on me and asked me a few basic questions, and I ended up having diarrhea of the mouth.
I think that by watching all these films at such an early age and watching these shows, watching South Park, watching all these slasher films and kung fu films and westerns and all kinds of movies at such a young age really instilled this thing on me that I wasn't always aware of up until when I first started making the short films. Like, I loved movies. I was obsessed with movies. I wanted to watch them all the time. I had to sleep with a movie playing. I would watch the same movie for an entire week. I was obsessed, even up to this day. Like, in the last couple of years, like, there's been times where I watched the same movie 3 times in a week, which is, you know, a lot of people are like, that's fucking crazy. But when you have this certain obsession with film, it's a strange feeling. Kevin Eastman, the creator of the Ninja Turtles, he put it best, and he's the only one that's ever summed it up. Watching a film that you love, that you've seen a bunch of times, is almost on the same level as hanging out with an old friend. And I think that is the perfect analogy for that, because when I pop in The Exorcist, or when I pop in Kill Bill, or when I pop in Coffee, I can be doing something, not even watching the movie, but it's in the background, and that makes whatever I'm doing more enjoyable.
We're watching Clockwork Orange and shit. I'm telling you right now, like, maybe I introduced my son to violence and stuff before he was actually old enough to learn it, but oh well. I remember I used to show Ricky Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, all these dead movies, and he's like, "Ooh." Then we'd lay in bed at night in the dark and try and scare each other with these stories about, well, what kind of a house would you have if the dead guys were out there? Well, I'd have a brick house, and I'd have, you know, a moat, and I'd have all this and shit. I remember that shit. Me and my son used to talk about all the time, man. And ever since that day, he's just been a little psycho. Next thing he wants to make fucking movies about dead guys and, I don't know, demons and dead guys.
All law enforcement agencies and the military have been organized to search out and destroy the marauding ghouls.